how often should you get an accessibility audit? Well, the answer here really is going to depend on multiple factors. And these factors can include your budget, in house expertise, the number of changes that are made to your digital asset, and or if any significant changes are made, and then also your objectives as an organization. So, starting out with budget, obviously, if you have a lower budget, you're going to put more space between your audits. And there's even the possibility that you start off with an initial audit, and then once you complete remediation, so once you are fully conformant with a technical standard, that you just maintain that accessibility over time. And what will enable you to bypass audits is this next point if you have in house expertise. So, if you truly do have a technical accessibility expert on staff, that really is an advantage and an asset for your organization. And having this expert will effectively allow you to bypass audits because you now have someone who can continually review and assess your accessibility. Now, another consideration are changes that are made to your digital assets. So let's say we're considering your website, and then we know over the past 8 months that there have been several changes, including code changes and multiple redesigns on different pages. And then a lot of content has been uploaded. And just over as time has passed, we know that there's very likely been some new accessibility issues introduced. Then at that point, it would make sense to have an audit conducted because we want to make sure that we can maintain accessibility despite the fact that we've had all of these changes made. Now, another consideration is if we have a significant change made. So let's say we're considering our website again and we've had a complete redesign of our website. If that is the case, again, it'd be a good time to have an audit conducted right after that significant change is made. Of course, with all of these changes, optimally, accessibility is implemented into our processes and they're not introducing new accessibility issues. But practically, it makes sense to have an audit after a lot of changes have taken place or there's been a significant change. And then also, there's obviously your objectives. So let's just take a very simple objective where, let's say you're a website owner and you've been sued and you enter into a settlement agreement that requires that you have an audit conducted twice annually. Then obviously your objective is to have that audit conducted twice a year. So it really just depends on what your organization is trying to accomplish. It might just be compliance and maintaining compliance and ensuring that you are compliant every year for a law that concerns digital accessibility. All right, so continuing on, audits can be conducted on a biannual, or an annual basis, or even once every 2 or 3 years can make sense. Again, it really does depend on the circumstances. Going back to, let's say, public entities with a lower budget, in this case, it makes sense to have an audit, let's say, every 2 years, or even every 3 years. But I will tell you that generally, once annually is a solid cadence, and I think we will see a lot of reference points to having an audit on an annual basis. But again, it depends. Let's say you have a mobile app and nothing changes on the mobile app after you've made it fully conformant. In that case, you really don't need another audit unless you just want a document that states that, yes, the mobile app is still conformant with a given technical standard. I will say, though, anything more often than audits on a biannual basis probably won't make sense. And the reason why is if we're conducting an audit, we're finding all of the accessibility issues, but practically the idea is to take action on that audit and remediate. And usually between the audit and remediation, you're looking at least 1 month's time, usually closer to 2 or 3 months, because remediation just takes time. Now, Obviously, if the digital asset has a cleaner audit report, it won't take as much time to remediate. But just in general, I wanted to add that audits on a quarterly basis are that's an extremely quick turnaround to continually have audits. So in this case here, we're just looking at the documentation. So if it's a reporting matter, then it would make more sense. But practically, audits on a quarterly basis don't make sense because of the remediation that needs to take place and what can happen, especially for larger organizations and or larger organizations with multiple digital assets. Let's say there are multiple websites and a web app, then audits on a quarterly basis are just too quick to actually make the fixes and then have the next audit make sense. So now we've covered the interval basis on which you should get an audit. You now know that it really does depend on multiple factors. So that's going to do it for this slide. If you need help with an audit, you can visit accessible.org/audits and find out more information about our services. And we will continue on with the next video.